people are used to the numbers in the 990 changing. I think in my experience, from what I've seen, they're less used to those non-financial sections being updated, because there's almost taken as a given
really good
that
point.
hey, the organization is still the same organization, and this is just going to carry over. So it's those pre-populated sections that tend to get most overlooked. Do you see that as well?
I 100% agree with that, and I'm going to use a little bit of a bad word here. Actually, the information that gets into these descriptions is really poor.
Yeah.
And it reflects on the organization. And a couple of the classes where we're doing 990s and we're spending multiple days on, we even spend time randomly opening 990s during the class and looking at it. And it's shocking, some of the verbiage that's in there, you know, and it just poorly reflects on the organization, because in a few minutes you would never say that, you know, we're just a membership organization, or in the mission description, as we've talked many times, they're just repeating their name and they're not talking about the powerful things they're doing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how poor is the correct word. My favorite thing, because it takes 3 seconds, I want to talk a little more about this later, is on page 1. You know, it's an estimate. It's lists the number of volunteers connected to the organization. And I don't know the percentage, but a high percentage of them list less volunteers than they have board members.
Yeah.
And even all the governance structure is volunteers. And it's just like, you know, we're such a bad organization. Nobody's volunteering. I mean,
right.
But
that's the
when
implication,
we call it up
you know?
in the class, I always say no screaming. Okay, look at it. And like a lot of people go, oh my God, we wrote 0 volunteers, and we live on our volunteers, because nobody just looked at it.
Right. Yeah, so it kind of suggests that there's 2 parts of the problem. Number 1 is organizations relying too much on those kind of pre-populated stock answers, stuff from prior years. And number 2, they're kind of just generally not looking closely enough from year to year and thinking about, besides our numbers, what has been changing. So it seems like there's a couple elements to this problem, but what do you think is needed to get some processes in place? You know, what can an organization do to start fixing this and getting better?
Yeah, exactly, Ben. First, we overemphasize that it's our story we're trying to tell. And who's best to tell the story is the organization. I always like to say to people, you are going to ask someone to write your biography. You're not going to ask your CPA to do it.
Right.
Who's the best to tell your story? You. And in order to do that, step 1 is to recognize that most organizations don't have a process, or the process could be much better. And to me, it's looking at the connections. What key leaderships positions are we involving in that? And it is mostly internal.